back for month 6 of my pregnancy diaries, which is crazy because month 6 being out of the way means that we've got 2 trimesters under our belt already and only like 2/3 down, 1/3 to go, kind of getting towards that home stretch now, which is crazy how fast it's come around. Actually bonkers. This past month has been quite a quiet one really. There's not really been sort of any massive milestones. I've been and seen the midwife a couple of times, I've had blood tests, so that's kind of been about it really. There's not really been any sort of exciting massive milestones this month. I'm looking forward to finishing work shortly, which is going to be nice. I love my job and I'm going to be a little bit sad to leave, but I work as a dance teacher 3 days a week, and for the last 2 to 3 weeks I would say I've been finding it quite tough going. It's very active and I'm sat on the floor and then getting up and then sat on the floor and then getting up and jumping up and down and skipping and jumping up and down again and skipping again and running again, and it's just getting to be a little bit too much. And I've suffered quite a lot with sort of bump ache and a lot more aches and pains with this pregnancy, which the midwife thinks is in part because some of my abdominal muscles are still quite strong and kind of fighting back again. They're not relaxing quite as much as she would be expecting them to do, and the fact that I'm just doing so much, and you know, there's definitely a correlation between the days when I ache more and the days when I work, so I think it's definitely good timing that we're breaking up for the summer now and that I can kind of rest up a little bit more, I guess, without having to work. This month I have turned into a nesting monster. My house has never been as clean. Actually, it has been as clean. The last time it was this clean was when I was 8 months pregnant with my son. I nested with him when I went on my maternity leave that very last month, and I was a bit of a monster then. But I didn't really nest in quite the same way the second time around. I wanted to prep and get things ready, but I don't remember being quite like the monster that I am again this time, where I'm washing. The other day I was washing bottles of shampoo because I felt like the outsides of the bottles were just too dirty to be in the shower, and I have just turned into a bit of a clean freak. I'm desperate to prep, and I'm trying to hold back and not prep too much because I'm conscious that we have still got, you know, a trimester to go. But I think because in September I've got my son starting his big school and my daughter starting preschool, and then obviously in October they've got a baby sister coming, and there's a lot of changes coming up, and I think I'd quite like to be able to dedicate September to getting my kids through those milestones really. And I think in order to do that and to have a kind of clear mind, I'd quite like to be flump ready really by sort of the end of August, the beginning of September, so that I can then focus on the kids that I've got there here already. The kids this month have, particularly my son, has been really bonding with the concept and the idea of his sister, which has been really lovely because they can now feel the baby move around and they can feel those kicks and wriggles and hiccups and those sorts of things, which is really such a magic moment, I think, when you get to share that. And my daughter is like coming up for 3, and she doesn't really fully get the concept. She likes to put her hands on my tummy and feel the wriggles, but my son is like, the first time that he felt her kick him, it was like his mind was blown, and he was so excited to be able to feel her, and he asks every day now whether he can give her a cuddle and whether he can feel her kicking, and if she's not kicking he's horribly disappointed, and I have to be like, well, she's asleep, like she's not always kicking, she's not always awake. I've been to see the midwife this month a couple of times. At the last midwife check she's a little bit concerned, maybe not quite the right word, but she wants to keep an eye on baby's growth. Funnily enough, for what we've considered to be the hide and seek bump, she is measuring quite big. She measured quite big at 20 weeks, and she was just at the top end of the average scale, so they weren't overly worried, but just wanted to keep an eye out because my previous babies were both quite small. Having gone in, when they measure the height of your uterus, I'm measuring quite a bit ahead of where I should be, so they just want to keep an eye on it, and if I go back in a couple of weeks time and I'm still measuring big, they want to send me for an extra scan and just to make sure everything is as it should be. Which is funny because I've obviously got measurements and photos from my previous pregnancy, and I know that to look at, my bump looks smaller and measures smaller than it did at this stage last time. But obviously my uterus doesn't lie, my uterus is a lot higher up than she thinks it should be. But they're not overly worried, and she did also mention that because my uterus, rather than being round, is almost quite like long and thin going up, which she thinks might be artificially making it look bigger, which is why they're not massively worried. They just want to keep an eye, so it's good to know that they're keeping an eye on these things, and I'll keep everybody posted. Here sort of feels like a bit of a good place to stick in some of my pregnancy bump photos, so I think you'll see that there is some big changes this month. So there's my 23-week photo, my 24-week photo, my 25-week photo, 26 weeks, and then 27 weeks. So she kind of bloomed, this baby, in the past month. It was almost like I did no growing whatsoever really, and I felt really small, and then all of a sudden, massive bump. And it was really funny because none of the mums of the little girls that I teach at work had even really mentioned that I was pregnant, and I don't think they'd really realised I was until a couple of weeks ago, and all of a sudden I had this flurry of, "You're expecting? I hadn't realised. How far gone are you?" And when I was saying that I was nearly 6 months, they were gobsmacked because they were like, "Well, how can you be 6 months? That bump has only just appeared." So yeah, but she's definitely catching up. She's not being a hide and seek bump anymore. This month I have started to do a little bit of prep. I have been picking up some bits and pieces for little Flump. I haven't picked her up any clothes or anything yet because I really need to have a sort through existing clothes and see what the state of play is with those. But I have started buying little bits and pieces for her little sort of zone that she's going to have in our room, her little sort of bedroom zone, and I've started work really excitingly on her patchwork quilts. So I thought I'd show you this. I've made the topper. I haven't sewn any of the bottom yet, but I absolutely am totally in love with the fabric. I think it's gorgeous. I made patchwork quilts for my previous 2 children, so it's kind of my thing. I kind of like the whole idea of just labouring over something, like loving making something with lots of love and it being handmade and being really special. So I know that my kids both really love their patchwork quilts that they've got, so Flump's getting one too. The final thing, Q&A section. The main sort of, one of the questions, I wouldn't say the main question, but a question that I've been asked quite a lot about is pregnancy with 2 kids, and pregnancy with 2 still quite small kids, I guess, 2 and 4, and how I'm feeling about that. Actually, in a lot of ways, I'm finding it easier this time than I did last time. When I was pregnant last time around, my little boy hadn't even turned 1 when I was first pregnant, and I was like running around after, well, he wasn't even walking when I was first pregnant, so I was still carrying him everywhere, and it was, well, I didn't really mind it at the time. It was hard work. This time's hard work too, but in sort of different ways, in that now we have to be out of the house for preschool runs, and you know, there's 2 of them to chase around after, but I'm actually not finding it that hard. I still feel quite energetic, and I still feel quite comfortable and quite happy to chase around after the kids. The flip side of that is I'm not very good at admitting defeat and admitting when I need help, so I do tend to chase around after the kids, drag them to the park, let's go and have a really, really great time, and then I put them to bed at night and realise that I've massively overdone it and I'm absolutely shattered. But I also think, do you know what, 2 kids being pregnant, yeah, it's tough in places, it's fine in other places, but it's got to be good prep for juggling 3 children, which has got to be harder. So I kind of think I can deal with this, I can rock this, because juggling 3 little people and I only have 2 arms is going to be a challenge, and it's going to be fun. It's a challenge I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, I kind of think I'm kind of taking the whole 2 kids and pregnant thing in my stride, because this is the easy part, I think. But anyway, that's it from me this month. If you've got any questions or anything you want to know, stick questions in the box underneath. I'd love to hear them. Other than that, I will see you for my next video. Bye!